Welcome everyone. In this comprehensive lesson, we are going to cover everything you need to know about network installations. We will break down the four main stages, explore the essential tools like WDs, MDT, and PXE, define all the key abbreviations you will encounter, and compare different deployment methods. By the end of the session, you should feel confident in planning and executing a network-based deployment for any number of workstations or servers. Let us begin with the basics. What exactly is a network installation? In simple terms, it is the process of installing an operating system, applications, and configurations onto multiple computers over a local area network, rather than using physical media like DVDs or USB drives. Why would an organization choose this method? There are several compelling reasons. First is scalability. You can deploy 10, 50, or even 500 machines at the same time. Second is consistency. Every machine receives the exact same configuration, which reduces errors and support calls. Third is speed. Installations take minutes instead of hours per machine. And finally, centralized management means all images and settings are stored on a central server, making updates and changes much easier. Common scenarios include corporate rollouts of new workstations, re-imaging computer labs or training rooms, and disaster recovery situations where you need to restore multiple servers quickly. Now let us move to the first stage, preparation and planning. This is arguably the most important stage because good planning prevents about 80% of deployment issues. Before any installation begins, you need to do several things. First, perform an inventory assessment, list all the hardware models you will be deploying to, and identify the drivers and firmware versions they require. Second, check network readiness. Ensure that DHCP and DNS services are working correctly because the clients will need to obtain IP addresses and resolve server names. Third, create your golden image. This is a master installation that includes the operating system, all critical updates, and your core applications. Fourth, create an answer file, which is typically called unattend.xml, to automate all the installation questions so that no human input is required during setup. And finally, always do a test deployment to a single test machine first to catch any errors before you roll out to the entire organization. The main tools used during this stage are Windows System Image Manager for creating answer files, and virtualization platforms like Hyper-V or VMware for building and testing your image in a safe environment. Moving on to stage 2, which is image capture and storage. Once your golden image is perfectly configured and tested, you need to capture it and store it on a central server. But you cannot just copy the hard drive, you must first generalize the image using a tool called SysPrep, which stands for System Preparation Tool. SysPrep removes all unique system identifiers such as the computer name, the security identifier or SID, and other machine-specific information. This is critical because without this step, every computer you deploy would have the same identity, which would cause conflicts on the network. After running SysPrep, you use a tool like DISM, which is the Deployment Imaging Service and Management Tool, to capture the generalized image into a file format called .wim, which stands for Windows Imaging Format. This .wim file is then stored on your WD server or a network share. It is also good practice to maintain multiple versions of your image, for example, Win10_v1, Win10_v2, so that you can roll back to an older version if a new update causes problems. The key concept here is that the captured image is a snapshot of a fully configured system, ready to be cloned to many machines. Now we reach stage 3, which is network booting using PXE. The purpose of this stage is to get the target workstations or servers to connect to the network and receive the installation image without any physical media like a DVD or USB stick. The first step is to configure the machine's BIOS or UEFI firmware to set network boot, or PXE boot, as the first boot option. When the machine powers on, it performs a DHCP handshake where it requests an IP address from the DHCP server. The DHCP server assigns an IP address and also tells the client where to find the PXE boot server. The client then receives a small boot file from the WD server using a protocol called TFTP, which stands for Trivial File Transfer Protocol. This boot file loads a lightweight version of Windows called WinPE, the Windows pre-installation environment. WinPE runs entirely from memory and hosts the installation setup program. Think of PXE as the door that allows the client to access the network installation server. Without PXE, you would have to physically visit each machine with a USB drive, which defeats the purpose of network deployment. Stage 4 is deployment and automation, which is where the actual installation happens. Once the client has booted into WinPE, the installation must proceed automatically with minimal human interaction. The client connects to the WD server and selects an installation image, or the server can auto-select one based on policies you have defined. At this point, the unattended answer file, which is unattend.xml, is loaded. This file contains pre-filled answers to every installation question you can think of: product key, language settings, time zone, disk partitioning, computer name, domain joining, and much more. The setup then runs completely automatically. It partitions the disks, applies the image to the system partition, installs drivers, sets regional options, and joins the machine to the domain. After the main installation, you can run additional scripts to install extra applications, apply security settings, and run Windows Update to get the latest patches. The key concept here is that the answer file is what makes the installation touchless or zero touch. Without it, someone would have to sit at each machine and click through dozens of screens. Now let us talk about two of the most important tools in network deployments, WDS and MDT. WDS stands for Windows Deployment Services, which is a server role built into Windows Server. It enables network-based installation and supports both PXE boot and multicast transmission, which means you can send one image stream to many clients simultaneously to save network bandwidth. WDS manages both boot images and installation images, both in the .wim format. It is relatively simple to set up, but it is also limited in advanced customization. On the other hand, we have MDT, which stands for Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. MDT is a free tool that provides a much more advanced graphical interface for managing deployment task sequences. It supports something called Zero Touch Installation, or ZTI, when integrated with System Center Configuration Manager, or SCCM. MDT allows for complex logic. For example, it can automatically install different drivers for different hardware models, install different applications based on the role of the machine, and handle errors gracefully. To summarize the comparison, WDS is simpler and best for small to medium deployments, while MDT is more powerful and better suited for large, complex enterprise environments. Now let us review the key abbreviations and definitions that you absolutely must know. PXE stands for Pre-Boot Execution Environment. It allows a computer to boot from the network before loading its local operating system. WDS is Windows Deployment Services, the server role for deploying images over the network. MDT is the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, a free tool for automating deployment. DISM is the Deployment Imaging Service and Management Tool, used to capture, mount, and modify .wim images. SysPrep is the system preparation tool that removes unique system data to make an image deployable. WinPE is the Windows pre-installation environment, a lightweight version of Windows used to start the installation. TFTP is Trivial File Transfer Protocol, used to transfer boot files during PXE boot. DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, which automatically assigns IP addresses. DNS is the Domain Name System, which resolves domain names to IP addresses. And SCCM is System Center Configuration Manager, an enterprise tool for full life cycle management. These abbreviations will appear in any exam or real-world deployment scenario, so commit them to memory. Let us compare common deployment methods so you can choose the right one for any situation. Manual installation, using a USB drive or DVD and clicking through each step, is best for single machines or testing, but it requires high human interaction. Unattended installation uses an answer file to automate all questions, making it ideal for multiple machines with the same configuration, and it requires low human interaction. Network boot using PXE and WDs is suitable for medium-sized deployments and requires low to medium interaction. Zero-touch installation, or ZTI, is fully automated using MDT and SCCM. The user simply turns on the machine and walks away, and it is the best choice for large enterprises. Finally, multicast deployment sends one image stream to many clients at the same time to save bandwidth, which is perfect for large labs or classrooms. The key takeaway is that you should choose your method based on the number of machines, your budget, and your team's technical skill. Finally, let us summarize the key takeaways and best practices. A network installation has 4 core stages: preparation and planning, image capture and storage, network booting using PXE, and automated deployment using answer files. PXE, DHCP, and TFTP work together to enable network booting. WDs delivers the images, while MDT adds advanced automation capabilities. Sysprep and DISM are critical for image preparation, and the answer file, unattend.xml, is the heart of automation. For best practices, always test your image and answer file on a single machine first. Keep your drivers updated, especially network and storage drivers for different hardware. Version your images clearly so you can identify them easily. Secure your deployment server with strong passwords and limited network access. Document everything so that any team member can run the deployment successfully. And always plan for fallback. Keep a USB or DVD image ready in case of network failure. Your final exam-ready definition to remember is that a network installation is a deployment method that uses network services like PXE, DHCP, and WDs, combined with automation tools like answer files and MDT, to install operating systems and applications onto multiple computers with minimal human interaction. Thank you for your attention, and good luck with your deployments.